For Vijay, I'm wondering what you think about the Chinese genocide of the Uyghur population, since you've been sort of touting them as kind of the good guys in this context, and yet there is a genocide happening within the state. So
it was interesting that most people in the world had no idea anything about the Uyghurs or about Xinjiang as a province of China until a German right-wing conservative whose office is right next to the Langley office of the CIA wrote a report about this. It is true that China had a serious problem in the Xinjiang province because similar to the issue of al-shabab in Somalia, the al-qaeda groups in Afghanistan were training people from the Uyghur population. I met some of them in Idlib in Syria, where their headquarters is now. It's not in Xinjiang. It's not even in Afghanistan. It's not in Uzbekistan, but it's in Idlib in Syria. And there were acts of terror. But the Chinese government decided to do something interesting in order to confront the acts of terror taking place in Urumchi and other places. Rather than go and bomb these cities, which is what one option, United States did that in Afghanistan, you just go and carpet bomb a city. They didn't do that. The other option is just to take a whole bunch of people and throw them permanently in prison. That's what the United States did in Guantanamo. Instead, they actually used a policy developed by ex-jihadis from Libya, the Kilum Foundation based in Britain, which is about deradicalization. They brought in people who they felt were terrorists or whatever, and they had these deradicalization camps. Now, whether you like what they did or not, to call that a genocide, I think, is a bit much. If you go to Urumchi or you go to Xinjiang now, I don't think you're seeing mosques destroyed. I think a lot of these stories were highly exaggerated. There was a serious problem. They dealt with it how they dealt with it. I don't necessarily agree with how they dealt with it, but I don't think we can use the Convention Against Genocide loosely and rhetorically to characterize things as a genocide. The United States tried to characterize the Libyan government bombing in Benghazi as genocidal. After that war ended, Amnesty International's their main investigators went on the ground and they did a number of reports where they showed there was no act of genocide. The claims of genocide were being made by a Saudi newspaper, which had been really, ginning up the story, exaggerating things and saying it's a genocide. The word genocide is pretty precise. There's a UN Convention Against Genocide, 1951. It was used by the International Court of Justice to say that there's reasonable evidence of genocide in Gaza. There is an actual definition of genocide. I don't think what was happening in Xinjiang raises to the question of genocide, which is how you characterized it. It was certainly a serious problem. They dealt with it in a way, at least they didn't go and carpet bomb the whole place or put people in prison for the rest of their lives. They did something, whether you agree with it or not is different, but it's certainly not genocide.